So we've been asked why we've created 5 predictions about the future of the legal industry. Well, we represent and work with some of the top attorneys in the country who want to remain the top attorneys in the country. And they've asked us at Atticus, as thought leaders, to put together our predictions of what will happen in the legal industry over the next 10 to 15 years. These 5 predictions were pulled from some of the thought leaders, some of our clients, some of the Atticus coaches, and some of the literature out there to predict what's going to happen in the industry. And our hope is that you, like some of our clients, will use these predictions to chart a course for your future practice. So prediction number 1, for 80% of the practicing attorneys, their income will either stagnate or fall. Now, this is not a hard conclusion to reach when you look at the statistics. So the first statistic to look at is the growth of attorneys in the legal market. In 1968, we had 168,000 licensed attorneys. By 1980, we had grown to 680,000 attorneys. By the year 2000, we broke 1 million licensed attorneys practicing. And in the year 2012, there are approximately 1.25 million attorneys practicing law. Now you take these statistics and compound them with the next statistic, and it gets kind of startling. So the amount of attorneys out there are already practicing is further compounded by the fact that in the United States we're graduating 45,000 students per year. Now, there's no cap on the amount of graduates, and the reason that the law schools are graduating more attorneys is not driven by market demand, it's driven by the profitability of the universities. In most universities, the law schools are the second most profitable departments next to the football departments. One of the startling statistics to look at this, to really understand and appreciate what's going on in the marketplace, is out of the 2011 graduating class, 1 out of 2 attorneys have actually found a job. There's also a tremendous amount of litigation about some of the false placement statistics the law firms are using to lure students into a law school process. So not only do we have more lawyers in the marketplace than we had ever in the history, but we're also creating new younger lawyers who are out there looking for their place in the legal industry. So to summarize, for prediction number 1, 80% of the attorneys that are currently practicing will see their incomes either stagnate or fall. So prediction 2, your biggest competition will not be the lawyer in your community that you used to compete with. The biggest competition you have will be the internet. Now, some of you know this already, but I don't think you fully grasp the impact and what a game-changing problem that you have to confront in your practices. First, let's talk about some of the industries that have cropped up that are outside the jurisdiction of your local bar associations. Let's talk about LegalZoom. So LegalZoom, and most of you are familiar with LegalZoom, which should tell you it's already a game changer. LegalZoom, based on our statistics, did $156 million in the year 2011 and put down a $12 million profit margin. Now, that may not mean a lot to you, but if you took 156 solo practitioners and put them together, I sincerely doubt having them under one roof would create the same gross revenue or the same profit margins that LegalZoom is currently doing. Then you look at Rocket Lawyer, which has been invested in by Google Ventures, and when Google gets behind anything, most of the time it moves quickly on the internet because they're the major player. And then you look at some innovative ideas that you see, like for example, Fairway Divorces. And Fairway Divorce is out of Canada, and they are providing a low-cost process to go through divorces quickly and easily. In addition to that, what will happen when a company like Walmart gets behind a Walmart legal clinic? Will drive pricing down all across the legal industry for basic, simple services. So the question is, when does this happen, and how will you be ready for that change in the marketplace? Now, you also want to take in consideration they can hire lawyers cheaply. India graduates right now 70,000 English-speaking attorneys every year. In addition to that, you look at the New York Bar Study that just came out that predicts by the year 2015, 76,000 attorney jobs in the state of New York will be outsourced to other countries. So the internet has allowed the globalization of legal services here in the US. We know it's coming, but I think a lot of lawyers haven't appreciated the fact that it's here now, and they need to adjust their practices and think about over the next 5 to 10 years, how will they deal with the internet as their biggest competitor? So prediction number 2 is the internet is your biggest competition. So prediction number 3 is that the state bar associations, despite their best intentions, will by default become more enforcement agencies than change agents. What do I mean by that? Ultimately, most of the change that will impact the legal industry will come from outside the industry, people that are not covered by the ethics rules or the jurisdictions of the bar associations. So by default, and unfortunately, the bar associations will choke any form of innovation inside the industry to maintain status quo, while companies like LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer, and Fairway Divorces will be impacting change from outside the industry. The point is that the lawyers' frustration with the bar associations being change agents and charging leadership for the future will become even more frustrating because they'll become more of an enforcement association, choking change and preventing innovation because they're maintaining status quo. Ironically, most of the innovation we'll receive in the legal industry will become from non-lawyers outside the industry, impacting our industry. So the bottom line about prediction number 3 is that the bar associations will be choking innovation, and most lawyers become frustrated and will have to reach the conclusion that the bar associations will not chart a strong path for their future. So prediction number 4 is a greater percentage of attorneys in the future will make their living as litigators. Now I want to talk about this just for a second. That means lawyers that were formerly making their living doing estate planning or elder law or probate or transactional work such as real estate or corporate. A lot of that work will be absorbed by companies that I just mentioned, companies like Rocket Lawyer, companies like LegalZoom, and other competitors that haven't hit the marketplace quite yet. So when you look at this, lawyers will look for a way of making a living, and the only thing they can really cling to is access to the court system. It's the only monopoly they will have through their license to practice law. So more lawyers will find niches to exploit, ways to make a living as a litigator. Now I want to be clear about this. I didn't say they'll make more money as litigators. I'll just say there'll be more lawyers as a percentage practicing in the litigation field than ever before. You'll see tort reform continue to impact the plaintiff's bar. You'll see family law lawyers suffer fee compression because they have more lawyers breaking into family law because it's an easier field to get into than some of the other areas. And you'll see more people fighting over a smaller piece of the pie. The point is that more lawyers will go into litigation into the industry than any other end of the industry because it'll be the only thing left available for them as they continue to feel commoditization. So point number 4, or prediction number 4, is that more lawyers will make their living as litigators. Prediction number 5. The greatest impact on your practice has already been invented, but has yet to be applied. A lot of attorneys make their revenues off of lead generating services that may generate small profit margins, things like uncontested divorces, simple litigation matters, simple discovery matters, in the estate planning world, simple wills, simple trusts. There's a lot of different simple revenue things that are done by paraprofessionals, legal assistants, even some cases, support staff that really don't have any particular training because they have great systems inside of law firms. Now when you think about this, once that artificial intelligence is applied to something like your smartphone and somebody creates an app that allows you to push a button on your phone and say, I'd like to draft a simple will, or I'd like to draft an uncontested divorce, what impact will that have on your particular practice? Now, you may think, well, that won't have much of an impact at all, but it will create noise, it will pull business away from you, and at the end of the day, it will have ultimately an impact not only on your practice, but other competitors' practices, which will then cause a collateral impact on your practice. So when you look at this, the technology is already there. You see it every day, whether you're calling your credit card company, your phone company, or you're dealing with an app on your smartphone. It's in existence. The question is, what happens when it gets applied to a service that you're currently providing in your law practice? For some firms, it will commoditize and take away somewhere between 10 to 20 to 30% of their firm's revenue through this piece of technology. So bottom line for prediction number 5. The threat of artificial intelligence is already out there, it's just not yet been applied. We hope you found the 5 predictions useful and thought-provoking. We appreciate any feedback that you have on the predictions. And if you want to follow how the predictions develop, please follow my blog.